Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another live video here to start off the morning with the damage report. I want to talk a little bit about the caucuses, but before we get to that, there are two little tiny stories that I just want to briefly mention before we launch into that. So the first was, since Donald Trump decided to run for the presidency, which appears to have been when at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Obama mocked him. He has been on a quest to do literally everything he attacked Obama for doing, which has been difficult at times because some of the things he attacked Obama over were incredibly specific. And you would think, how could they possibly happen again under a different president? But we get to mark one more thing off the list, and that was way back during the height of the Ebola crisis. This is back in the fall of 2014. Trump, who tweeted constantly about the Ebola crisis. He's a germaphobe or whatever. He was losing it over the response to Ebola. So he attacked Obama with a tweet saying, President Obama has a major meeting on the New York City Ebola outbreak with people flying in from all over the country, but decided to play golf. And then this weekend, he posted a photo of himself getting a little exercise on the golf course this morning as the U.S. grapples with the spread of coronavirus. So we have got 159 Americans who are now, 195 Americans who are now quarantined over the coronavirus. An eighth person, this time in Massachusetts, has been diagnosed with the coronavirus. So now I believe the total number is higher than it was under the Ebola epidemic. More countries are starting to have infections of coronavirus. And he is off getting some exercise. And I looked at the photo. I think he's golfing. I don't think he's getting any exercise. But I'll leave that up to you. The same thing that he attacked Obama over. And honestly, with Obama, I don't even know if he did miss a meeting over that. But that's what he was attacked for doing. So cross that one off the list. And by the way, Donald Trump has now apparently spent 259 of 916 days in office on the golf course. That's more than a quarter of all of the days he has been president. He has been like, imagine, like, it's not gonna happen, but like, imagine if NASA's like, John, we need you to stop doing YouTube videos. We desperately need an astronaut. And I'm like, yes, sign me up. And then I spent like a quarter of my days like still playing Nintendo Switch. It's like, being an astronaut's kind of boring. I'm up on the space station, but I'd rather be doing this thing. Like, you're the president. You're golfing. Nobody likes golf this much. You just don't know what your job is, and you don't appreciate the position that you have. The position you have from which you could do a lot of good to help out people, but instead you're like in sand traps or something. Anyway, so that was just super quick little stupid story. John for Space Force, that's what I'm saying. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Maybe we can crash this thing. The other was, this is just a throwback. We don't often do throwback news. I see stories all the time, little updates to stories, and I want to cover them. But the problem is that, like, we move on from the news, and then nobody cares about the stories that happened before. So this was one of the, at the same time, saddest and funniest bits of news from last year. And I saw a little update on it, and I just have to really fast. So do you remember last year when Donald Trump accidentally said the wrong state name while talking about a hurricane? He said that it was going to hit Alabama. I don't know if he actually thought that. It was probably just a little mistake where he wrote Alabama instead of, Georgia or something like that. But because he wrote Alabama, he then had to double down and triple down, and it ended with him sharpieing on a map of a path of a hurricane. So a trove of documents from NOAA has now been unleashed. And it's just got a little bit of the internal communications of, yes, Sharpiegate. So it's like all these people these are generally career scientists. They're there for weather tracking, disaster prevention, like understanding what's going on in the ocean, some of it climate change related, like serious people. These are scientists, career people. They're not really political in any way, having to deal in real time with what for most of us was just a really sad news cycle, basically. And so some of the communications, you had Scott Smullen, Deputy Director of NOAA Communications, emailed his colleagues saying, how do you want to handle this one? Looks like someone at the White House drew with a marker on top of the image of our official forecast. And then, and then there was an email with the subject line, tweet shows POTUS altering NHC map. Public Affairs Specialist at NOAA, Jerry Slaff, told Mr. Small the map shows a Sharpie extension of cone to include Alabama. And then Corey Piper responded, yes, that was doctored. Mr. Trump claimed at the time that he had not doctored it, and he didn't know who. Somebody sharpied it. We don't know who possibly did it. But what really makes it even sadder is you had two officials. One was the second-ranking official at NOAA. This is retired Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, talking to NWS Chief Operating Officer John Murphy. And Gallaudet said this: "Thank you, John. I track all of NWS on social media, so I see the emotion, but honestly get it. I'm having a hard time not departing the pattern right now," which I assume he means quitting his job over it. I don't think he means literally taking his own life and departing like the pattern of our material existence. But Murphy responds to him, "Hang in there, sir. Need you and judgment we make nearly every day since we have pension. Is this battle to die for, or better to stay and fight for what's right? We can do more in pattern." I'm now going to talk about this career that I have as being in pattern and how I want to depart it, since I often do. But like, think about that. That like, because of how small psychologically the need to double down for Donald Trump, you have these like rear admirals retired after a lifetime of service to the military. Like, I can't take how freaking embarrassing this is. I think I'm going to drop out of this entire thing, this pattern. God. And you know what I really like about that story? I mean, look, there are substantive, consequences to what he did. And it has to do with climate change and all that stuff. But like, it was the rare news cycle where we got to mock him, and it wasn't like that was the silver lining on him doing something devastating in terms of government regulations or policy that was really, really harmful. We're going to start off the damage report this morning with an example of that more unfortunate kind, having to do with a disability funding under the Social Security Administration. So it was nice to just be able to have a little bit of fun. But anyway, so far more important than all of this, today is, of course, the Iowa caucus. So I want to do a little informal poll, so get ready, and then respond. Are you excited, or are you, I'll say, feeling anxiety over the Iowa caucus? Are you feeling like today is going to be a good day, a rare, like, just good experience in this political world, or are you just worried about what's going to happen and it's making you feel even worse? I'm seeing a lot of excited coming in. There were a couple of anxiety. Did you hear parts of the new wall have fallen into Mexico? I did hear that. I actually saw the footage. It's amazing. Yeah, we've got these walls that we've set up to withstand, hordes of thousands of people coming over the border, but like, breeze. We can't deal with it.
He said he doesn't understand breeze. He said he doesn't understand wind.
Yeah. The wind gave the wall cancer and it fell over. I think that's and you saw the wall, and the wall was like, ring, 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 ring. It fell over. Honey, I want to watch the wall, but now we've got too much wind and it's falling over, honey. Dear, I want to watch the wall. Okay, so we've got a bunch of excited, a little bit of anxiety, and many of you who decided, screw John and his categories, cautiously optimistic, which was not one of the things I prompted you for. So here's my fear, which I will express. I too feel excited. I don't want to say it too loud. I feel excited too. I worry that if I say it too loud, then God will hear and will ruin everything. And that's why I'm worried about all of you being excited, because like, if this goes horribly, it's going to be really bad if our expectations are high. So like, shh. I don't want Edwin to know that I'm excited. Political ASMR. Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be really tight. This is actually serious. Everybody, if you are in Iowa, you got to get out there. You got to do your job. Okay, now not so serious. Oh man, I mean, Biden's gonna do really well, and it's just like, I just hope that Bernie's competitive. Like top 3 or something like that. I think he could win, but I'm really worried if he doesn't, that the media is going to go crazy. While understanding at the same time that if he does really well, they're going to say that it doesn't count for anything. And like, in terms of delegate math, it really doesn't. It's like 41 delegates, you need to have like 1,900 or whatever. But if he does really well, like, here's the thing. Okay, so let's assume that they're not listening. If the way that it works out, I believe in Iowa as well, you have to get at least 15% to get any delegates. And anyone who gets above that threshold, shut up, Gabby. Anyone who gets above that threshold, it's proportional allocation of that. So hypothetically, if Bernie got 34% and everyone else got, 3 to 13%, he would be the only person. He would get all 41 of the delegates. But I guarantee that if that happened, which is crazy, I don't know the last time that happened for a Democrat. I'm assuming it was quite a while ago. If that happened, the media would still be like, well, Iowa, it's a very particular sort of state, which is true, but that's true no matter what the outcome is. That's still, if you have one person who sweeps the delegates, that is major news, but they will pretend that it's not. And we have a debate coming up. So look at what they've done. I don't like the conspiracy theorizing, like above and beyond the evidence that we have in a lot of parts of this process. But we have the Iowa caucus, and then I believe in like a week, and change or whatever, you're going to have New Hampshire. So between that, you have the State of the Union, but more importantly for the Democrats, you have a debate, and they put it on a Friday night, which is a horrible idea for two reasons. One, we have this crazy week, and now we're going to spend 3 hours on Friday night doing the debate. But more importantly, less people are going to watch it. So the person who comes out of Iowa with their momentum isn't going to be able to capitalize on it quite as much, because not as many people are going to be watching the debate leading into New Hampshire. It's still going to get out there. They're going to try to silence it, but you can't 100% silence it. Cautiously optimistic. Don't let Jake Tapper hear how excited you are. Nate Silver's listening all the time. I just hope it works out. I hope it's good. What if he sweeps it? What's Comic Skate? I actually don't know. I don't know what Comic Skate is. Here's the mistake that we made in 2016. How many times over the course of 2016 did you hear Jank or someone say, whisper of a dream? But that's the problem. They kept saying it. They didn't whisper it. And so the wrong people heard. I say, whisper of a dream. That's what I say. No, I'm not struggling. I'm good. I'm a little bit hot because I was at Disneyland all day yesterday, and we bought all this like sunscreen. And then when we got there, we were like so excited to get in and register for stuff that we never put it on. So like I feel like I'm a little bit sunburned because I didn't put it on. It was a fast day. Gabby, you're literally. Can I ban Gabby? How do I ban Gabby? Oh, it scrolled by. I'll ban her next time. Anyway, is that a boomer monster? What are monsters for boomers? Okay, drink. I need energy. Today's going to be an incredibly long time. Who's your top 4 for the Iowa caucus? Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Bernie first, Buttigieg second, Biden third, Warren fourth. That's what I'm predicting is going to happen. And I feel like, assuming the polls that I've seen / the polls I've chosen to focus on are true, there's going to be a pretty big gap between 1 and the rest, and 2, 3, and 4 are going to be within a couple of percentage points of each other, I believe. Those are going to be between 19% on the high end down to 11% on the low end. And then you're going to have drop off after that. There'll be a few people who will do okay. And then there's other people who are like, they're running for president, but they're not really running for president. Like, we're getting played by so many candidates right now. They're just in this for whatever. Depends on the person, but I have not tried the purple one. The green one is growing on me. It's a little, like, when you first drink it, you think, wow, this is the worst thing I've ever had, but it grows on you. Rexol, thank you. I'm trying to stay giddy. Partially it's because I've had a lot of coffee already today. I had a coffee, I'm almost done with this monster, and I had a vanilla latte. Whisper of a dream. Okay. I do have to run, though, because we only got 12 minutes. Mel Diablo says, John, would you be okay with a Bernie Warren ticket? So here's the thing. I understand what you're saying. And I'm supposed to say no because of all the bullshit that's already happened, and I totally get it. And yes, that's obviously going to be unfortunate, but it would help. it would help Bernie in a couple of different ways, and that's the most important thing. I don't place my own personal interest or what's good for my channel or what's good for whatever above what's good for Bernie's chances in winning the election. That's the most important thing for me right now. And so, yes, it wouldn't be my pick, understand, but if he did it, I wouldn't be like, duh, Bernie. Anyway, okay, I do have to run, but Michael Brooks is going to be joining us on the show. Oh! And Colby Hall, also Mediaite's going to join us, and that's going to be awesome too. We've got Rick Strom, who's going to be breaking down some of what came out of the Super Bowl. We've got states being misidentified. We've got kids in cages. It's going to be a big show. I don't have kids in cages. I was warned. So, but we do have at the Super Bowl, so we're going to talk about it. But yes, Michael Brooks is going to be joining me. We're going to talk about the Iowa caucus. We're going to talk about Michael Bloomberg. We're going to talk about Rashida Tlaib, a whole bunch of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to run. Hope to see you very soon. Just a few.
When are you gonna have
Whisper.